The identities of two senior royals said to have commented on the colour of Prince Archie's skin were published in the Dutch translation of Endgame, the new book, of course, by Omid Scobie. It has now been reported that the palace is considering legal action following the leak, as author Scobie is frustrated that the names were included in the book. Well, if you believe that, joining me now is royal and showbiz reporter Kinsey Schofield. Kinsey, always a pleasure to speak to you, my darling. Look, here we have it. We've been talking about it for days. Does his story stack up? Why on earth would a translated version contain something that's not in any of the other versions? This is starting to feel like a work of total fantasy.
Right. I think that that's a very good point. And we've recently heard from the Dutch translator that those names were included in the manuscript that she received to translate. So she's arguing absolutely not. No, I did not add these names into this book. This was handed to me. I translated it from English to Dutch. And she says, this is my livelihood. You're putting my job in jeopardy by, arguing that this just mysteriously appered within the Dutch version of Omid Scobie's Endgame. So it is suspicious. It's been suspicious from day one. And I think I'm most irritated by the fact that last night when Omid was pressed by the BBC asking if he would like to apologize to the members of the royal family that have been accused of this, horrible incident, he said no, he was inconvenienced. He was frustrated because he was so proud of this book and he wanted to know what happened. If you were a real man and you had any sort of empathy whatsoever, you would go on television and say, I don't know what happened, but I'm so greatly, sorry that I've put anyone in this position.
Yeah, but he's not a real man in that sense, is he? He's a narcissist who seems to be flaring up public opinion for hard cash. It's public knowledge now who the two names are. I don't want to name them because I just don't want to add to it. And I don't even believe this was a race row. When you look at the actual translation, it talks about potential unconscious bias. So even the leak has been revved up beyond the actual foundation of any credibility. Did any of this ever happen, or is this just cruel concoction for money?
I think that if we have learned anything over the last few years, it's that Harry and Meghan are extremely insecure individuals. They are sensitive, and that I think that if anything transpired, it was likely an innocent statement that, like a game of telephone. Meghan openly says in the Oprah interview, it wasn't said around her. She heard it from a third party. I think that she misinterpreted something or was being overly sensitive about a comment that was made that Chris Rock did that famous stand-up not too long ago, probably last year, where he said, every interracial couple has this conversation. Every interracial family has this conversation. Well, have your eyes, whatever. So I think that Harry and Meghan exaggerate when they feel hurt. They feel hurt quite often. They're insecure, and that this probably wasn't as explosive as it's being described as.
So, Kinsey, the palace are saying we are exploring all options, which is a very regal way of saying we're going to take our time and think about it. But what do you think they'll do? A lot of people would like to see Omid Scobie get a right royal walloping in the courts. They'd like to see him sued for slander. They'd like to see him bankrupted, put out of business and shut up forever. Do you think they'll do that?
I don't think that they will do that, but Martin, I think that that's one of the first things I said. I think that if this is not true, it's so hurtful and it's so damaging, and one of those stories that will go down in history, whether it's true or not. Now these two individuals are bruised. So I would be pro taking legal action. I'd be pro stripping Harry and Meghan of their titles and severing all ties, because I think Harry and Meghan have proven to be extremely destructive towards the royal family. And, they jeopardize, they are a liability. They jeopardize the future of the monarchy.
Any idea how this is translating out in sales? I mean, the book was serialised and leaked for weeks in advance of its publication. We're talking about stuff that weren't in some versions and were in others. Was enough left for people to buy this? And also that the general mood that's precipitated, certainly in Britain, is a lot of people are very, very angry with this guy. Yet, will it still sell? Any idea of how it's been selling?
I haven't been able to find out that information yet, but I think the ultimate objective here is to cater to an American audience and for Omid to be able to move to the United States and be the American royal commentator or the American, reporter. Move over, buddy. Here I am. But I think that that's his ultimate objective. So he doesn't care if he frustrates people in your neck of the woods, because he's utilizing this as a platform to move to the United States, because as he said himself, Prince William has cut off all of his access to real working royals. And, he's blown through several jobs since Harry and Meghan have moved to the United States and the release of Finding Freedom. Is that because he's lost access to those real working royals? I think this is a last ditch effort. It's an act of desperation. And it's just a book that's full of 4 years worth of regurgitated headlines.
Okay, Kinsey Schofield, thank you very much for joining us on the show. It's always a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you very much.